This is light work. Come on, spill the tea. Yeah. Ooh.
Hey y'all,
What's good?
I'm Laura.
And I'm Dee. And welcome to Spill the Tea with
Laura
Laura
and
and
Dee.
Dee.
What's our question today?
So, our question for discussion today is, how does some of Trump's new policies and actions affect the Atlanta housing market, and if not specifically the Atlanta housing market across states?
I think that's a great question. I think it's an important question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer to that question is most buyers and sellers need to be looking 5 moves ahead and not 1 move ahead right now.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the housing sales nationally are up by almost 4% from last year, which
Right.
means we've got 4% more homes that have sold, that have closed than we did this time last year. So we saw an interest rate drop in February, which brought a bunch of buyers into the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
Buyers right now are hungry and sellers right now are hungry.
Right.
And so what's happening is everybody's hungry. Everybody's been waiting to buy a house or waiting to sell a house for a really long time. And at some point, no matter what's going on in the market, right? It doesn't matter if it's tariffs today or if it's the border tomorrow or something's going to always be correct. There's always going to be a distraction in the market. And so the housing market, from the beginning of housing time, the housing market has moved. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to buy or sell a house, understanding that market was the most important part of that process. And whether it's Trump's tariffs today or something else, that is always going to be the most important part. Now, is the market going to crash? We see a correction almost consistently every 7 years. Mm-hmm. We have not seen a market correction since 2005, right? And that was really a crash. That wasn't really a correction, but we haven't seen the market take a breath in to correct itself. We saw a little bit of that after 2021 happened and the interest rates went up. Mm-hmm. The market kind of stalled a little bit, and we saw the housing market go unilateral. Like, we don't want the housing market to increase substantially year over year. Nobody can afford that, right? Like, that's not a good thing. So how is it affecting the Atlanta market? I think it's affecting the market overall. I think certain markets like Atlanta will be affected less. Right. Because we have so many people moving here. Our housing prices are still great. I know if you're from Atlanta, you're going to argue with that because they don't feel great anymore. But when you look at us on a national level, we are still in a really good position. Right. With how many houses we have, the amount of jobs we have. So I don't think that the Atlanta market is going to take too big of a breath in. I think we've seen the breath that we're going to take. Now, on a national level, we probably are going to see some markets correct, right? Like, it's inevitable. We are out of the realm of normal. And so what I'm encouraging my clients to do is not look at the next 2 to 3 years, because again, we may see a correction. And is it going to be driven from tariffs? Maybe. Is it going to be driven from other things that the government does? Absolutely. Right? Like, that is not going to stop no matter what. But what we're looking at is, what are the investors in the real estate world actually doing? How are those players behaving? Right. Because those players are in the real estate market long term. We as humans that are buying and selling for ourselves, we look at this house and we say, we love this house. We're going to be in this house. This is our home. And we look at today. Right. Right? We don't look at, okay, in 10 years when I get ready to sell this home, what is this home going to be worth? Because we, in our brains, are living there forever. Mm-hmm. Right? Your movers and shakers are gobbling up houses at an alarming rate right now.
Which means it's buy time.
Correct. That's exactly what it means. I mean, I personally just bought 2 houses because of that. So your long-term investors that look at where the market should be in 10 years are buying houses at a rate 15 times faster than any other investor market that we've ever been in. Mm-hmm. They're buying it up because they know that a couple things are going to happen. Yeah, we may go like this for a little bit. You got to have a place to live. Like, in this market, do you want to be renting or do you want to be owning? I want to be owning. Right. Because even if there is a dip, when it bounces back up, it's usually a really good bounce. Mm-hmm. Right? So you're going to get all of that equity back. Anybody who held on in 2005 is sitting great in today's market. If they sold in 2015, they got a great price for their house. Right? And so if you're not going to sell, in the next 3 years, I encourage you to buy, because that's what all the big players are doing right now. They are stocking up and stacking up. Two things are going to happen. One, we're going to see the housing prices increase over the next 10 years, even if we see a little bit of a correction. But even more so, this news headlines in the media right now is scaring an entire layer of our human population, like our little onion, right? There's an entire layer of that onion not buying, that are turning themselves into lifetime renters right now.
Right.
Because of what's going on in the market. So my opinion is buy a house. Even if you're not going to live in it, like, buy it and rent it out, because there is going to be a need for that home to be a rental from today until the unforeseeable future.
Right.
So that's what I think is happening. I think everyone should be buying. I think sellers are panic selling a little bit right now, especially if they've been on the market a little bit too long.
So are you seeing people like not hold the price that they're selling for?
Correct. Okay. Sellers are, I have a seller who I wanted to list her house at 240. She wanted to list it 255.
Right.
Said no problem. We might even list it at 260. I think it was 255 though, is where we listed. I told her, I said, no problem, but understand that in weekend number one, your best offer is going to come in, right? Your first offer is always your highest.
Right.
She was so high that we only showed the property twice that weekend, right? Which is not normal in this market. You should have a lot of showings. If you're in the right price point in the Atlanta market, at least, you're going to have a plethora of showings. I mean, the other two houses that I put up for sale that same week, we had 60 offers between the two of them. They were priced that much below what I think fair market value was, and the market just went woof. And so sellers that are willing to kind of come down, they're the ones that are moving. But what's happening is buyers, like, we only had 2 buyers that looked. What saved us, we were the lowest price point home in the neighborhood, right? And you can't really get into the Atlanta market under 300. So anything priced reasonable that's livable under 300,000 should sell very, very quickly. Everybody else was priced like 270 in the neighborhood. I don't even understand where they came from.
Right. On
their listing prices. And so, I think that you're going to find that these sellers that have been listed really high for 120, 130, 140 days, you're getting some killer deals. I mean, you're just really getting good deals for the buyer right now.
So would that be the same for attached as well, as opposed to detached? Because
she was attached.
Oh, really?
She was townhouse.
What about for the ones where the HOA may not be so pretty or polished?
Yep. So again, pricing.
Okay.
Right, pricing. For her particular property, the last comp in her neighborhood was somewhere in the ballpark of like 215 or 2 something. 240, and it was a year old. 240 was an aggressive 6% increase in equity for the 12 months, which is why I wanted to go in between 240 and 245. We went under contract at 245. We were listed at 250.
Right.
And so people were happy to make the offer because she is an HOA. She's got an HOA bill. It's a reasonable HOA bill for that price point. I don't think anybody's looking at going, oh my gosh. But the price of the house matched the HOA all-in payment as to what that property should sell for, right? And so an HOA doesn't hurt you unless you're overpriced.
Right.
The buyer has to be able to look at your HOA payment plus their mortgage payment, add them together and go, what I get here is better than what I would get in a detached or single family situation, right? And that has to make sense. You're going to get more for single family because there's no HOA fee that they're paying monthly, right? And so you have to be cognizant about that when you're putting your list price on. That's the key. List price in this market, I've been selling real estate for 10 years. Your list price is more important today than it ever was. And understanding your current condition of your house and what it should sell for is more important today than it ever was.
Right. So I think, there is something that you kind of pointed out that I guess as an investor, I don't always kind of correlate. Because I guess it's kind of 2 different mindsets. It's like I'm thinking wholesale always.
Sure.
Right. You're generally thinking retail.
Sure.
Right. Completely different
Totally
types
different.
of buyers. And so for the retail buyers, which most of the time that's what you're selling to get the most out of you.
Correct.
When you flip something or whatever.
Right.
And so the buyers are more looking at what is this going to cost me per month, more so than the list price.
Correct. They don't care about the list price.
Right.
As long as the list price makes sense for condition. And how do they justify the list price making sense for condition? They look at their monthly payment.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I have to pay $1,200 a month for this, house after my 20% down or whatever,
Right.
and then I've got $600 that I'm paying in HOA fees, sure, that gives me a new roof. That gives me painted exterior. Well, the roof is new and the outside's painted. I'm only living here 7 years.
Right.
What value do I get in spending that money?
Exactly.
Right. Again, it's a very short-sighted perspective. The value
But
is
it's true.
Correct. It's how people think. The value is there because if you're living in a home, you're not allocating $500 a month for those things. We don't do that. When the roof goes away or blows off in a storm or whatever, like we're like, oh shit, we have to come up with 14 grand. And most of us are shitting a brick, right? If you live in an HOA neighborhood that's taking care of the roof, guess what? You've been allocating funds to that monthly. It's going to be.
They have an insurance policy.
Correct. But let's say something wasn't covered under insurance,
of
right?
course, right.
And so at that point, then that buyer sees value in it, right?
Mhm.
Because, oh, look, I just bought my house and the roof is getting replaced.
Right.
So, if you're selling in an HOA and the HOA is a little bit high, but you can justify to the buyer, well, listen, Mr. Buyer, I hear you, but you're getting a brand new roof in a month, right? All of a sudden that fee doesn't feel so bad.
Right.
People can't think and don't think 5 steps ahead. And that's why news media can lead you all around like little pieces of cattle.
Right.
You got to think ahead. You got to think, okay, why is this good? But buyers don't. They just don't.
Right.
So they're going to look at, okay, I've got $1,800 a month that I'm spending. Does it make more sense to put it in this house
Mm-hmm.
or in this townhouse where I don't have to do anything?
Right. You know what time it is?
Time for question quickies.
Yes.
What are our
You
questions?
remember it.
I know. I've been doing it for long enough. I finally remember the cadence.
So we probably just talked about this, but like one of the questions that's being asked over and over and over is like, will housing prices drop under Trump? Like it's one, I guess we should really kind of address the phrasing. Because it's like there's so much that from a government perspective, whether you like them, don't like them, whatever your opinion is on them, most of the things they do has to have some amount of time in order for results to happen.
Correct.
So it's like a lot of the times when you say under this president or under
Correct.
that president, it's like, well, there are certain effects that are also still in play.
The first 2 years of a presidency are the residual effects of the person they took over from.
Right.
So will price go up over the next couple of years? Again, the interest rates are going to drive that.
Mm-hmm.
As a societal whole, 6.5% has always created the best economy for us. I know people don't like to admit that because they don't want to pay that in their mortgage, right? I don't want to pay 6.5%. But when the interest rates did fall into the mid sixes in early February,
Mm-hmm.
which Trump did, people jumped in and prices started booming.
Right.
Okay, so now the halt and the concern is, are the tariffs going to increase the interest rates back up to 7? And there is a prediction that by June, we will see the interest rates back up to 7. So from February to June, we're going to see this gradual increase in prices because people feel good about the interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
If they go back up to 7, are they going to stay there? The housing market has to move. People are going to buy and sell properties that have to. Like sometimes you just have to move. And so I don't think Atlanta's market is in any kind of jeopardy of seeing any kind of huge dip. We're still a very, very, very affordable city.
I think a lot of northern and western markets,
Correct.
though.
Correct.
Really struggle.
I think that's where you're going to see the struggle is in the markets that are already overinflated. And things go up and go down. Like at one point, Detroit, Michigan was a place to live. Right? The presidency has had nothing to do with why Michigan's housing market went way, way up and way, way down.
Right.
The jobs, right? The economy, it was motors, right? Motor companies.
Right.
The motor companies, the car companies. Ford
Right.
Motor Company, I think is who was out there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
A lot of them are actually out there because
Right. So
Ford went out there.
right.
I think.
So, hey, do the tariffs make stuff get a little bit more costly for a year or two? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But again, let's not look today. Let's be able to look 5 steps ahead.
Right.
And in the interim, is there always going to be something that's going to make our housing market shaky? Sure. It's the reaction of the people of the country that actually affects it. It's not necessarily what anyone does or does not do. It's how we react to what they do. So it's up to us.
That's funny. I have to comment on that. So you're right about like the reaction. So, like, when I was getting into accounting, when I was in school, one of the things I liked to do was kind of compare, the financial records to, like, stock prices. And it's just like, from the standpoint of, like, a financial performance of a company, a lot of the times there was no correlation with the stock price. Right, you would see stock prices rising, and you'd look at, like, the books, and I'd be like, "Whoa!"
Well, look at Tesla.
Cash flow is like
Tesla loses money every year and is one of the best stocks out there.
And it's funny
You're
that
an idiot if you invest in Tesla, in my opinion.
So
Okay, like they're a terrible company.
You're so funny.
They're
I made a lot of money off of that one.
A ton of people did.
But then I was just like, okay,
But you have to know how to play the game. Because again, it has nothing to do with how Tesla's performing as a company. It has everything to do with the emotion in the news media.
And so you want to know,
people stop.
You want to know why I was studying that?
Yes.
So there's this concept called goodwill, and it's basically like the amount somebody would pay over or under what the business is actually
the value
worth.
Yeah,
like once you evaluate it professionally. And I was just like, I mean, you can see it in the stock market because it's just how people feel about the stock.
All about emotion,
right?
Somebody
wrote a news article, and it's just like, oh, this company is going to do well because of this, and it's like, I'm not going to verify it, I'm just going to go buy it.
Most people jump, and they follow what's in the news. So do I think the presidency is going to have an impact on our housing market? Yes, 1,000%. Do I think emotion and how people feel and how undereducated we are as a society going to have a bigger impact? Yeah, unfortunately I do. And, I wish the stats would change, but the stats have been the same since the dawning of the era of the day of time. 20% of people understand what's going on and run the world. And the other 80% are just floating along like idiots.
Right. What is that, Moore's Law?
I don't know, but it's really a law.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know who wrote it. Do we have another question?
Yes, we do. So we have two more.
Okay.
One is one that people are asking. Another one is a question that I'm curious about.
Okay.
Are interest rates going to go up or down?
Probably up.
Probably up. Okay.
Probably up a little bit. Yeah, I do think that what's going on in the market right now with all the changes, it's one of the biggest ways the government makes money, right? Like the government owns most of these loans. They're government backed, whatever. When the economy needs more money, it's good for the economy for the interest rates to go up. The more money the banks are making, the more money they give us, right? Like everybody was bitching about their CDs being at this much percent in 2020. Well, now you're getting 5% on your CDs. Do you want 5% on your money, or do you want low interest rates? You cannot have both, entitled humans.
Right.
Like, so yeah, I do think they're going to go up, and I do think that's going to cause a slowdown in the housing market because, again, we only feel positive at 6.5% or lower as a societal norm in our housing.
What's that going to be, like 3 months from now or so? 6 months?
I don't know. I think you'll see.
Like quarterly.
Yeah, I think you'll see a rise in June. I think you'll see it go up a little bit over the next couple months.
That wasn't my last question, by the way. I just realized.
No. Got it.
I'm only speaking from, so I wanted to ask a question about Trump raised the interest rates. So from a governmental policy, and this is like excluding the fact that obviously there are loopholes and shit that people kind of leverage to take advantage of certain situations.
We love loopholes.
Right, of course. So when it comes to like the executive branch, which Trump heads, they generally have control over fiscal policy, whereas monetary policy is headed by Federal Reserve. Now, historically, there has never really been oversight over the Federal Reserve. They kind of do whatever the hell they want. But generally, presidents will put pressure on them in order to get them to do certain things. Was this a situation where Trump basically put pressure? Because there's not.
So I think
really
Trump puts pressure all the time.
Of course. Right? I feel like
the answer is never no to that.
Where
unfortunately, I don't think I like his policies. Yeah, I don't think anybody wonders if I agree with his policies, but like I don't agree with how he gets them done.
Right. So
I don't necessarily think that, do I think what he's doing is good? Yes. Do I think he forces stuff? Yes. Now, the flip side of that is so did Biden. So did Obama. So did Clinton. So did, like, I can keep going backwards, right? I think Trump has always been under a microscope, which is good, okay? Like, I think the way that they look at him is good. I wish they would start looking at all the people in politics this way.
Right.
Because I think what we would find is if they would put the microscope on everybody the same way, I think you would find that it is more than just
similarities.
Correct. I think everybody in government is out for the long game, but the long game for them.
Exactly.
I don't think he's any different or any better or any worse than anyone we've had. I think the microscope has been on him more.
I think what he's really good at is distractions. And you mentioned the other one. I can't remember. Is that what it's like to get older? To have kids? Just like you just start forgetting stuff. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I think we're not friends anymore.
I'm so sorry. That was rude as hell.
Is that what it's like to get older? By the way, I'm only 44.
Oh, man.
And he's in his 30s. It's not like he's that much younger than me.
But,
yes, that is. Welcome to the old folks club.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry.
Continue. I remember what the damn question was.
But, like, he's just really good with, like, distractions.
Yes.
And he's really good about...
He growls sometimes. He's good at that, too. Well, his smoke screens are good, right? But they're all good. And I think that's the objective. You know, I had a kid come into the house today and go, you know, Trump did something with the stock market and, you know, he paused tariffs and this, that, right? So everybody can make money and all the rich people make money and stuff. Like, follow what they're doing. Don't be mad at what their smoke screens are.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Outsmart them. Follow what they're doing, whether it's Trump or whether it's somebody else. Right now, people are buying houses. Right now, people are buying certain stock.
Right.
Don't be mad. Get on the same team.
Right. Yeah.
You can win because somebody's going to win in this market. Figure out how to do it and copy that person.
I like to focus on that, like how to win, basically. Right. Because if you think about it, if you go back to what we were just saying about the stocks, right? If you think about politics, right? Everything that he's doing from a distraction standpoint, he could do whatever he wants on the back end.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Because he's just distracted. I'm going to do tariffs. Oh, wait, I'm going to pull those back. Right? But it's just like it affected the stock market.
There you go. There you go. And I hope that everybody starts scrutinizing all of this way because the smoke screens are there to distract you.
Yeah.
There is a reason that all we hear right now is about Trump's tariffs. It's because something else is going on in the background. And a lot of it has to do with the housing market. And a lot of it has to do with the way wealthy people are investing their money right now. Don't choose to be poor.
Right.
If you are poor, it is your choice. Sorry, I said it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I could sugarcoat it a little bit.
I know.
So, I'm not poor. I'm broke.
But you're not choosing to stay there.
Because poor is a mindset.
Correct.
Broke ain't got no money.
But you're not choosing to stay there.
Exactly.
Every single day, you and your wife have a meeting to figure out what the next step is.
Right.
You have your money invested in multiple avenues right now.
Oh, of course.
Okay, maybe you haven't made. I haven't made it. Am I worth $1 million? I'm finally worth $1 million. I am so excited to be able to say that, right? Because I am from food stamps to $1 million. Good job. I chose that life, right? I created I tell people all the time when they ask me who my CPA is, I'm like, I created him. I mean, it's not really true. You were a CPA, but we introduced you to Dave. Craig and I continued to dig and dig and dig, and you and I read books and books and books until we created the world that we wanted to live in.
Right. We read Julia every night.
I hope so.
We have a little finance book.
I hope so.
It's so cute. Some of the things I'll change them as I'm reading them because I'm just like, that's not true.
Anyway, just look ahead.
Right.
Understand the smoke screens that are there. The housing market looks really good. It may have a hiccup, but overall the housing market looks really good. And the stats aren't going to change. 90% of millionaires will be made in the housing market today and in 100 years and in 1,000 years. That's the most. You can invest in real estate. You can invest in the stock market. One is volatile and one is not. I don't need Coca-Cola. I do need a roof over my head. I'm off my soapbox.
Some people would argue.
Well, they're dumb. And I can't talk to them.
Well, thanks for joining us today. That kind of wraps up our discussion.
And I'm not old, by the way.
No, we're not old.
No, I'm not old. You're old. I'm not the one for getting tired drinking coffee. I'm drinking electrolytes, just so you all can see.
I am. I'm loving this coffee. Oh my gosh, we got that espresso machine. Whole nother conversation. Well, as always, if you thought this was helpful and/or entertaining, hit the heart, or send to a friend. Also, if you have any questions for a house flipper or a real estate professional, drop a note below and we will cover it in one of our upcoming videos.
This is light work. Come on, spill the tea. Yeah. Ooh.